Hi there, and welcome to the Homestead Education Podcast. Do you have a homestead, farm, or just dream of a rural life? This is a show to help you and your kids grow your own food and grow as a person. I'm your host, Kody Hanner. I'm a homesteader, homeschool mom of six, and small town enthusiast. I was raised by an old school rancher and blessed by the grace of God to have been exposed to so much of what rural life has to offer. Join me every week to talk about homesteading, homeschooling, and growth with a homestead education. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Homestead Education Podcast. Today I have Jennifer Wheeler from My Grass-Fed Life, who I met at the Azure Standard Harvest Festival, which was such a fun event. But I got an opportunity to meet her and meet her wonderful family, and I loved their products and their stories. So I asked her to come on and just share a little bit with us. So, hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Kody. So our company is Grass-Fed Skin.
Sorry.
That's okay. Grass-Fed Skin. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I always do that. I even you probably saw me glance over at my paper before I started talking and I still got it wrong. So,
It's okay. I like the sound of it. My grass-fed life sounds cool, but
Yeah, maybe that should be like your YouTube channel or something.
yeah. Perfect. Thanks for the idea. I'll write it down.
Right? Um, so tell us a little bit about you guys and kind of what you do and
Yeah. So gosh, we have
where
four
do you
kids,
start?
so I'm sorry.
I was like, where do you start?
Yeah, right. So we're a family of six. We homeschool. We live in Jacksonville, Florida. And we have a small business that's grass-fed skin. And so that is our full-time, career. That's our everything. And we're just really grateful because it's just opened up so much opportunity for us to spend more time together as a family. It's been a huge blessing.
That's wonderful. We hear so many stories about people starting businesses and whether or not they're able to do that full time and spend that time as a family, or if we still have to have somebody working outside the home. And so that's really awesome that you guys have been able to do that.
Yeah.
I
It's
know, even with my business, it definitely covers my half of the bills. But my
yeah.
my husband's a veteran, and so that's what covers the other half. So luckily we do all still get to be home together. But so what made you guys kind of get started with going down this route of uh, grass-fed skin and what that product is?
Oh my goodness, this could be the longest story ever. But I'm gonna
Let's make it a
try.
medium one.
What's that?
Let's make it a medium one.
Okay, I'm gonna try to just give the really quick version.
All right.
The really quick version is it's the Lord. It was the Lord's calling. It was not us in any way, shape, or form. We can't really take the credit for it. So we could end the story there, but I'll just share how it kind of came to be. Eric and I both are healthcare professionals. We met at work in a rehab hospital where I was practicing occupational therapy and Eric, a physical therapist. And that was it. Those were our careers. That's what we went to school for, and that was what we were going to do until we retired. I
I
liked
feel you there
neuro.
because I definitely did not major in this.
Yeah. Well, I it's nice that the Lord sometimes shakes us to
Hmm.
say, like, there's something different for you. Um, because that's the only way that I would have been pulled out of it. I loved, what I did, and I loved. It was very rewarding working in a rehab setting where we didn't get cases where people were going, downhill. We got cases where people were making a lot of progress and they were
Oh,
walking
wow.
for the first time, talking for the first time. So it was very just amazing to witness, and I'll always cherish those memories I have working in that setting. Eric was a clinic director at the end of his career at a orthopedic setting and highly praised. Everyone just, requested him. Um, so it's just funny because we were very rooted.
Mhm.
And I just kept getting this like very uncomfortable nudge. And let me just tell you, when I left my career, I had it pretty good. I had a very flexible schedule. I came and left when I wanted. I it was just I was making for my position. I was well paid. It was not in the stars for me to, or clear to me, that it was going to be time to leave that setting. But I just kept feeling this pulling, as strong as like if you were standing next to me pulling my arm, that some huge change was about to happen in our lives. And it was really making me uncomfortable. I was like, edge of my seat. I voiced it to my coworkers, to, Eric and I had been talking about it and he was feeling it too. But it was just like this overwhelming feeling of something major is about to happen in our lives.
Wow.
Um, at the time, our boys were really small, from maybe Jace wasn't even one and Rowan was about two. Since then, we've had another baby. But at that time, I had discovered tallow myself as a topical solution to really not, I didn't have like a skincare disorder or any kind of like urgent thing, but I just hated my skin. Like when I tell you, I just thought hereditarily I was doomed. My mom and my grandma, I had seen the same really crepey, really dry skin from a young age, like from
Mhm.
teens. I mean, just dry, crepey skin, to the point where, like, when I would get out of the shower, I could just like slush off like
Oh
dead skin.
no.
It was just so, so bad. And I would try everything, creams, lotions, coconut oil, all the things. And it did not help. It was either like I didn't put anything on, or it felt like I was slimy, like coated in
Mhm.
something. And so when I tried tallow for the first time, I was like, it, I was trying not to get excited because it felt so amazing and just nourishing for my skin, just drank it up. But I noticed over time that my skin was changing. It was getting stronger, it was getting healthier, and I didn't have to use it as much because my skin was getting
Hmm.
hydrated on a cellular level. It was changing my
Yeah.
skin. And so I was obsessed with it. I was addicted. And like the homesteading mindset that I have, I'm always, trying to figure out how I can do something myself. And so we were already eating that way at the time, where we would purchase a cow from a local farmer and save it in bulk to eat, um, you know, throughout like a year or a half a year, however long it would take us to go through it.
Mhm.
And so we would just request like the extra fat from the cow so that I could render it down and make, more creams, more skincare product from it. And I just thought it was so awesome that I started gifting it to people, Christmas presents, birthday presents, and everyone had the same reaction. This is awesome. You need to sell this. And this is before tallow hit. It's like it's
Yeah.
definitely got word has
Yes.
gotten out. But this was before then. So a lot of people were like, "Are you putting beef fat on your skin?" And there was a lot of education there behind it that I had to get out. But they were just amazed at how well it worked, like I was. And so I loved making it. It was just a hobby, but I really had friends saying, you really should be selling this. And I'm like, it's not, I have a career. Like it's not,
Right.
I don't have extra time. So it's not happen. It's not going to happen for me. Um, and we were in a church service where we have a great church, and our pastor really speaks like from the
That's
Bible very
awesome.
clearly to you. And he said, let me ask you something. If there is something that you could do tomorrow, that you could start tomorrow, knowing you would not fail, what would it be? Clear as day, not my voice, but I heard the voice of God say, to start this business. And I definitely had that moment of like, are you sure? Like, did I hear that? I'm just gonna ignore that. Moment. And then he followed up with, if you just heard something, that was the Lord speaking to you. So I would really encourage you to initiate whatever it was. And so I told Eric, and he's like, wow, that's crazy. Like, you should go for it. Super supportive. And so I just every step I took, like I just told my group chat, my mom friends, like, hey, I'm going to start selling this. It was like a door opened, major steps, and the company just developing that I had nothing to do with. And so that was so encouraging. It was just very clear that it was meant to be. Um, Became really close friends at a market with a very experienced skincare couple who had developed a few companies, and they helped me with marketing. They helped me with labeling our products. They
Oh,
helped me with
wow.
branding, getting it into wholesale. Like these are things that take companies years to figure
Hmm.
out. And I was getting that like direct counseling from them right off the bat. And so we skipped a lot of hurdles that small businesses definitely go through. We've had hurdles, but we skipped a lot of them. And it just felt like without a doubt that it was meant to be. Soon enough, it was just taking over my schedule. I realized that I was going into work less and less because I was just spending time on it, and it was very fulfilling for me. And it became clear that the Lord was blessing us, and I knew that I had to continue. So here's this job that I had worked at for 12 years, planned on retiring with them,
Wow.
and I made the decision to leave the company and to go all in. After heavy prayer, that was definitely made clear to me that it was time. And it really wasn't long after that, maybe like not even half a year later, that Eric left his full-time job too because I
Wow.
needed help. It was beyond what I could handle. um, and so here we are. We are both all in, haven't looked back. I mean, we still definitely use our clinical skills between each other with friends. I mean, Eric's taken some like cash pay customers just to keep like if they want, physical therapy, and he's trying to keep his skill set sharp. But really, I mean, it's beyond. We even have 5 employees now, so it's not
Wow.
just him and I. But yeah,
I,
it's been
I
great.
I definitely see you using your like, the physical therapy part, like how to like massage muscles and things like that using your creams. But I don't know. That was just my little
Yes.
idea that popped in
No,
my head.
we have some retailers that use our products for massage therapy, chiropractic care, physical therapists. Um, the wellness community is, a very like-minded, tight-knit community. And so
Hmm.
when you recognize someone's efforts to make a difference in the area of health and wellness, we're all very supportive of each other. So our products do really well in retail spaces like that.
That's wonderful. You're talking about how like you just felt this nudge from God, and I've seen so many beautiful stories like that over the last several years because I don't know. I'm always really bad at expressing this, but I feel like God kind of looked at us and said, I think there's still hope for these guys, and started downloading messages to those that could make a difference.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. Yeah, I absolutely agree because I have heard stories like mine too, and I know what I experienced, and so hearing that from other people it's just really encouraging.
Yeah, I had that. I was frustrated in my career at the time because it wasn't my career. I had worked in agriculture for years, and we moved, and I needed something where I could be home with the kids more. So I went into real estate, and I did not love it. And I was driving like 45 minutes into the office because we live in the middle of nowhere. And I got in the car one morning and I was drinking my coffee. I don't even think I was awake yet. And I got about a mile down the road, and it was like everything was perfectly clear that I needed to start writing homeschool curriculum.
Wow.
I was an anti-homeschooler up until about 4 years before that. And that's when we started homeschooling, but we like kind of were thrown into it. And I was like, I guess we better figure it out.
Yeah.
And here, then 4 years later, it was like this is exactly what you need to do. And all these pieces were put into place for that.
What I think is happening there is when I, in hindsight, look back at why did this happen, and what is it all for? I had been praying about how uncomfortable I felt with the amount of time I was spending with my kids and family,
Hmm.
just seeing them grow so fast. And I wasn't their primary caregiver, if I'm being honest. I was
Hmm.
dropping them off now with my mom. So it's not like they were, with strangers, but I had kids so that I could be their caregiver, and I had just been praying, how can we make this happen to where either Eric is home with them or I'm home with them? And it was just heavy in my heart. And those are holy, like, desires that
Hmm.
the Lord will answer those prayers. And we're home all together every day now.
We were
And
designed to
our
be
whole
together as
family.
families.
Yes, absolutely. The Lord will bless that dream.
And I saw that like I became a single mom when my twins were 3 months old, and I had to just put them right into daycare, and I went back to college, and I made a beautiful life for us. But
Mhm.
when I had my younger kids that are 5 and 8 now, that was about the same time that I made all these changes because I realized the relationship I was building with them was completely different than the relationship I could ever have with the twins.
Yeah.
Now, even though the twins and I were close in a completely different way because it was like me and them against the world,
Yes.
that whole family scenario is a completely different dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. Such a different dynamic. And God's timing is everything. I can totally relate. We have a 17-year-old as our oldest daughter, so we have
I
pretty
met her. She's
age gap.
lovely.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty big age gap between her and then our 6-year-old. But
Because my
and
twins will be 17 next week.
we
So,
have a okay, yes,
yeah.
we talked about, I remember, yes. We have a very different bond, like what you're
Yeah.
saying. It was her and I against the world, for
Hmm.
sure. And she is so mature for her age. She has just, I'm very proud of her. Her accomplishments in life, she's going to be something amazing. She already is.
Right.
Um, and
I feel
I
that with
don't
the
know
older kids. Like they've learned something totally different.
what they witnessed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
So when I first, so I grew up very rural. Like my dad was a hunting guide and a cattle rancher. My mom was a taxidermist.
Love
Like
that.
we were like I kind of joke with the whole like homesteading Maha movement, wellness movements, that like I was country before country was cool
Yeah.
because that was just very comfortable to me going like the switch to this lifestyle wasn't that big of a switch for me.
Yeah.
And when I first started learning about using tallow balm, at first I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Like we used to use bear lard for everything. Like
Right.
all of our like the wood that we used in the taxidermy shop, like we used bear lard as spoon butter. We used it on our leathers for our saddles, like everything.
Yeah.
I was like, from a practical standpoint, that makes sense. But then somebody pointed out, like, why are we using like one vegetable oils and two synthetics when we are our cellular structure is more closely related to a cow than corn, you know?
Absolutely. The sebum that we produce on our skin, that oil, they say is a 98% identical match to tallow. So it is able to do things for our skin that, these plant-based derivatives cannot do.
I've
They
taken
have their
just
place.
enough like organic chemistry to kind of know how everything bonds together. And I
Yeah.
was like, that makes total sense because it's going to
Yes.
be the same chemical bonds versus what's made synthetically or something.
Absolutely. And what I love about it is that, we're very, we call it holistic skincare because it's one piece of a holistic picture, right? Of
Hmm.
of wellness. What you put on your skin and what you expose yourself to environmentally is just one part of it. What you eat, how active you are, how much time you're spending outside in the sun. Like, these are all things that contribute to health. And so, our products can be just one piece of that, hopefully replacing something synthetic in somebody's, cosmetic drawer.
Hmm.
Women are exposed to, they say, potentially over 300,000 different chemicals by the time they've eaten breakfast, just from brushing their teeth, perfumes, putting on makeup, hair
Hmm.
care, all of these things, take what you do in the shower. So, um, it is very overwhelming and something that you have to defensively take action to change. It's not going to happen just by accident that you are not exposed to environmental toxins. So, what I love about tallow is that when people use it and they say, I have been using topical steroid creams for years, prescription medications, I have been using, these chemical based prescriptions on my skin, and it's only getting worse. It's not that it's not even helping, it's getting
Yeah.
worse. And this is something long
I just
term.
imagine
I'm
that like completely flaring up whatever the issue is.
absolutely, and they're saying, this is the protocol that my doctor told me to do. And I mean, not to go down that path. I feel like,
You can go
everything
down it
has.
all you want, but
Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad I have your blessing. But just to be able to see that something completely natural made a difference
hmm
that the prescriptions could not do opens up it's a gateway. It's a gateway product that makes people think, what else might I be able to change that can actually make a difference? What I
Right.
eat, what I'm drinking, what I'm doing, because this clearly worked. And so I love that. That is so rewarding to me. When someone comes up to our booth at a farmer's market and they're like, I'm trying to slowly just be more conscious of what I'm exposing myself to. I'm trying to make safe swaps. I'm like, you're my new best friend. Let's have a conversation. So that's my favorite part of it. When we were in the healthcare field, um, we kind of stuck out like sore thumbs because we were always the ones like suggesting a more natural or holistic way to go about it. And so it just makes sense that we have totally been immersed in now a wellness category.
Yeah, I completely get that. I don't know if I told you a little bit at Azure, I can't remember. My husband was diagnosed with end-stage liver disease 8 years ago. They told us he had a year to live.
No, you did not tell me that.
Yeah, and he was 33,
Oh
34.
my goodness.
We were young, and I'm 4 years younger than him. So it was like, what do we do? Like we had no clue. I had just lost my dad to liver cirrhosis the year before that, which I knew why my dad had it, and he wasn't shy about it. He's like, yeah, I drank and I took a lot of painkillers over the years because I pushed my body as far as I could. You know, and my husband, 33-year-old man, he had barely ever drank in his life. Um, but the only thing we can really like, he was military, so he'd been in good shape and all those things. The only thing we can really trace it back to is possibly what was happening, like maybe burn pits or something in Iraq. He came home, he had, PTSD and a compressed spine, so they had him on just piles of pills. And so we were like, we're stopping right here and we are figuring this out. Like, I don't accept the answer that I'm losing my husband in my mid 30s. And we bought our farm and we started doing like growing all of our own food, locally sourcing it, making all of our cleaners from scratch, and switching, body care and medications. And we had to do this holistic approach that you're talking about. We did it in about 9 months, like a
Mhm.
complete swap.
That's a huge shift.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
Um, but it's still like, I mean, even right now, we're wanting to do a cleanse, and I'm having to try to figure out how to do a cleanse that is natural and not just all the over-the-counter crud that everybody wants to sell you. And
Yeah.
we're constantly having to like chase that. But um, we, with your skin being your largest organ, that was like where we really started looking at like all those little things that we do every day and just assume as normal. Like, okay, I'm eating all grass-fed beef, but it's cool. I'll just keep using my synthetic lotions.
Mhm.
Like you don't realize that on like a bigger picture, that might even have more of an effect on you. Your clothes, your laundry detergent, what you're putting on your clothes and then putting on your body all day long.
Mhm.
Um, and so, I mean, long story short, 6 years into that process, he was given a clean bill of health. Like the doctor was like,
Wow.
I don't, they're like, I have never seen anything like this before. Like, yes, you still have some scarring on your liver, but it's only on the outside the and on one side. The whole rest
Okay.
of your liver is perfect.
Amen.
Yeah. It's been an amazing journey. And now we get to speak on that and stuff. So that's been really such a wonderful blessing.
Praise the Lord. Wow. Yeah. I wonder, did he share with the doctor the changes that he had made?
We actually still communicate with her because she does bariatric surgery for um juvenile bariatric surgery at the University of California, which my husband was overweight and he was like, that's how this whole process started is he's like, oh, I'm thinking about maybe some weight loss surgery. And they started doing all the tests because he had really bad acid reflux too. So they started doing some tests and they're like, oh, yeah, no, you're not a candidate for weight loss surgery because you're probably not going to live longer than a year. Are you looking for new ways to advertise your business? I would like to invite you to advertise your business on the Homestead Education Podcast. Did you know that 60% of listeners will make a purchase after hearing an ad on a podcast? Why is this? Because personal connections and credibility from someone they truly trust will give you the best conversions. My podcast has been on the air for over 3 years now, and with an average of 5,000 downloads per episode and tons of long term listeners, you're bound to have somebody who will find that credibility in me. All ad spots will be promoted on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and my weekly newsletter. I have podcast sponsorship spots available that are affordable for all business sizes. And all advertising revenue will be used towards my educational outreach in the form of travel costs, curriculum development, supplies, and the administration of such activities. Go to my show notes now or visit thehomesteadeducation.com/podcast dash sponsorship. I hope to hear from you soon. Yeah. And
Wow.
so 4 or 5 years into that, he went to his doctor and he's like, "Hey, I'm still alive. So about that weight loss surgery, like, because there is
Goodness.
still a point that, we are large people, and even though we eat cleaner than most of the skinny people I know, we just don't lose weight. So I don't know. He was like, let's try this route. And
Yeah.
our doctor that we had now was like, she's very holistic and we love her. But she's like, hey, as far as I'm concerned, you're as healthy as can be. Let's get you on that list. And
Oh.
yeah, so he went down the path, and while she was in doing his weight loss surgery, she like did a scope and biopsy and like physically like looked at his liver, and she's like, "Holy moly!" And so she still contacts us because she's like, "I have all these kids that are overweight, and their parents are just letting them eat whatever they want. Like, what can how are your kids eating this good stuff? How do you get them to do it?" And so we
Yeah.
work with her a lot, actually.
Wow. I mean, I love that because when you can influence a medical professional
Mhm.
based off of these like natural, remedies or way to approach something, especially something as severe as what he went through, they're going to remember that. And
Mhm.
they're going to remember that with their future patients.
Yeah.
So that's
Especially
amazing.
with her working with children when they can start that mindset early.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, you're probably in the same age group as us. Like we were the latchkey kids that came home and ate mac and cheese every day because
Yeah.
that's what our parents.
First fertile. Yeah.
Yes.
Flintstone vitamin. Yep. You were okay if you ate that.
And there's so many people that are, they're hitting their 40s and they're like, "Oh, I ate all that stuff and I'm fine." And I'm like, "Give it a minute." Like,
Right. I mean,
because
it catches up with you for
I
sure.
feel it. I feel the gut health issues and the fact that they decided it's not good to take your tonsils out. And so I did antibiotics 3 times a year for 30 years. I
How do
mean,
you feel about the tonsils out thing? Because I had that done when I was 3, and I've read some stuff after having several antibiotics for sure.
mhm,
But and God uses those things for us because like, my kids have now never been on an antibiotic, never needed it. But
mhm.
um I read some stuff on the tonsillectomy that it can actually be a negative thing and have, long-term
I think with some
consequences.
of the things we know now, like give a child a chance to get through it. And if they outgrow it,
Yeah.
or you can get it under control or look at it from a different perspective.
Hmm.
Why is your immune system so down that you're sick all the time?
Hmm.
Versus by the time I had mine out at 33, they told me that I would have never stopped being sick because the infection was actually encapsulated inside my tonsils. And because of all the scar tissue, it was just sitting there.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense that maybe they should have been removed. Did
Mhm.
they end up removing it
Yeah, I
or?
got them out when
Oh.
I was 33, and
Okay.
I haven't, I've been sick since then, but I mean, I was sick all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I had gotten the Epstein-Barr virus when I was younger, and that combined with it, like, it was like chronic fatigue all the time. And
Mm,
then when my system would get down, then I'd get sick because that infection was sitting there and it would just flare back up.
yeah.
So,
Wow. Yeah, my parents said that I just used a binky constantly. And when you're one and your binky falls on the floor, you put it in your mouth. So I don't know. That was their reasoning why saying I like constantly had strep throat and stuff, and that's why I had to have the removed. But I've just always wondered, like, was it necessary? And so yeah,
yeah,
was
I don't know.
that
I mean, my 8-year-old was a binky baby till he was like almost 4 because I got him broke and then his little brother was born and it,
and it reset.
yeah. And, but we live on a farm. So, I mean, he dropped it all the time and put it back in his mouth. And I think he's had strep throat once. And
He's got a strong immune system.
it was after going to the fair and being around people.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, so I think, it's looking at that big picture, like risk over benefit. Like we
Yeah.
keep, we try to keep my husband off all medications. But over the summer, he's on the volunteer fire department and he was working like one of those trailers at the fair where they have the kids come in and they like run smoke in there and the kids have to like crawl out and stuff.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat, but he was in there like for 2 days straight, and he's like best friends with the fire chief, so they kept bringing all their teenage kids in and like smoking them out, like just to like, make it more extreme. And he ended up getting a respiratory infection from it.
Did they not see that coming? That seems like maybe we should rotate staff for this job. Um,
Um, they're guys, like they're like, this is fun. They had just gotten back from like a week-long fishing trip in Alaska and they were all in like teenage guy mode, even though they're 45.
yeah.
And yeah, so I got this really bad respiratory infection and for like weeks he was just coughing up like terrible stuff. And I was like, this is not good. Like we need to um oh, did I lose you?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay. So I'm like, this is not good. Like, we need to do something about this. And so he went to the doctor and he had to do steroids and breathing treatments and antibiotics and the whole shebang. But for him, even though he has a healed liver, we still treat him as though he's kind of compromised all the time to make sure that we don't make that worse. So it was a better choice to do the antibiotics and stuff than to just let him try to write that out or using like Mullen or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the mullion. That's what we do for something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you know those things and you're trying them, and then you still see that something else needs to be done, then yeah, I can
Mhm.
really see that logic. I see that I'm frozen. Is that?
Yeah. I
Oh,
was trying to like turn off my end and then see if it like gave us a little bit more bandwidth. Do you want to try to like pause yours and then restart it? Like just pause the video part?
uh,
And if you click on the screen, it'll show a little. There you go.
whoop, you see?
There.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, through the whole thing, he was drinking Million tea and elderberry syrup, like the whole thing. But I mean, that can kick a cold out for him. But I think that was just he would have had to fight that for a really long time,
Yeah.
and that just it's unnecessary.
Right. I can see that. Yeah, we love the mullion for that, and then nebulizing, and then yeah. Luckily, we haven't come across anything that we can't handle with, things like that. But I'm not opposed to things like antibiotics. Someone who, like us, who has worked in the medical field has seen the benefit of Western practices
Hmm.
saving people's lives. I mean, we worked with traumatic brain injury patients, spinal cord injury patients. They would not be alive to
Right.
this day if it weren't for that emergent care. And so I absolutely am grateful and have a lot of respect for those things. I'm not an anti-medicine person. I
I just
just
don't think it should be that like throw it at
Right. We don't
everything.
start there. We
Yeah.
we end up there if we have to. And luckily we haven't really had to with the kids. But yeah, I just think that there is definitely for our generation, it sounds like we're similar there, where my father-in-law said to me, like, do you think like this homesteading, called it a trend. Do you think that this trend will, live out much longer or whatever? And I said, this is not a trend. This is a
No.
response. This is
That
a
this is a move.
response
It's a
to
movement. It's a revolution. It's yeah.
absolute. It's not a trend, it's a response. In fact, when people come up to our tent, when we first started, I was telling and educating every single person that walked up, what is beef tallow? People had never even heard of it, didn't know what it was. Um, and now I would say more than half for sure know what it is.
Hmm.
In fact, a lot of times they say like, oh, this is a big trend, or we've seen this on TikTok. And it's like, I would almost prefer it not to be trending because I don't want people to think we're just opportunists here, in this movement, because we're going to be around, when TikTok is talking about something, something else will still be here.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a good thing that people are waking up and they're motivated and they're wanting to make these changes. So yeah, I don't think it's a trend. I think it's a response. It's a movement.
I've been writing a little piece that I'm going to talk about on this. I was actually speaking to like a homestead influencer at an event this last weekend, and it was a pretty dead event. But it was a preparedness event, and they didn't really like promote it, and it was just our like local North Idaho. And so her and I had a lot of time to chat. And she's like, she's like, I was just at another event. Do you think the homestead movement is dying? I was like, no, I do not.
No.
I was like, I think there's too many events, so it's diluted. Um, I think that because we have more people moving into the wellness space, the waking up to everything, we're no longer taboo and exciting. We are it's being normalized instead of romanticized. And that was our whole purpose.
Mhm.
And so, like, for her and I was like, as influencers, as educators, as what we're doing, I think instead of saying, like, wow, the movement's dying, we say, no, we need to keep up what we're doing. We need to provide more education. We need to, provide second level education. Um, and just kind of keep showing that it's still there and provide that for the people that are continuing what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, we had, I told you I was telling you the short version of the story because there was a huge chapter there where we moved to Costa Rica and came back. So I kind of skipped that chapter because that makes it the long, long version. But um, in all of that, we had a huge change we were living in a home here in Jacksonville where we had chickens, we had quail, we had pets. I mean, we were homesteading all of the things. And after that huge, international move and back, we are renting right now and we're not rooted because we know we're not going to be living here for long. It's a temporary space. And
Hmm.
so that itch for chickens, that itch for homesteading, I'm like having to constantly put it on pause because I'm like, not yet, not yet. But when I look back at pictures of that time where we were in that house and I was picking my green beans from my backyard and I was getting the chicken eggs and my 1-year-old son was grabbing the quail eggs for me in the morning and carrying them in his shirt, like those memories are my most cherished memories.
Hmm.
And I can't wait to get back to that. And so I think, once you have, there's a lot of people that have a little bit of a problem like pulling the trigger and making a leap into that area because it is not easy. But once they do and they start seeing the reward from it, it consumes you. It
Yeah.
becomes your identity. And
It really does. I mean, 100%. And it's the thing is like we're wired to produce, to feed our families, and that's like why so many teenagers and young adults have the like mental health issues that they do and stuff because they have zero purpose in life.
right. Yeah. Oh man. Preach.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, even, on like the flip side of that, like those that are our age, there's things like I've had Tourette's my whole life. Terrible, terrible Tourette's. Like when my anxiety is flared, it is horrible. I've been on medication since my teens because I almost can't drive without it. And the research I'm doing at this point on what's been done to my gut health, vagus nerve, all those things, I'm like, holy cow, I think I can, if not cure my Tourette's, have it massively under control without this pile of medications every day.
Wow.
And that's what I've been actively working on probably like the last year.
That's
And
amazing.
so, I mean, there's so many other people that are waking up to this is systemic, not just a symptom of one issue.
Oh, absolutely. Um, I'm not sure if we're gonna go there or not in this conversation. So let me know if we shouldn't. But I really feel like what you just said kind of works hand in hand with a lot of the stuff that's been coming out about autism lately. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you can make changes that reduce the symptoms of autism, then why aren't we doing that? Why isn't it
Right.
being recommended for every child that
Oh
is
my gosh. Yes, there's so much on that. I have an autistic, one of my twins is autistic. And people are like, how do you feel about, whether you think it's Tylenol or whether or how RFK was coming out and saying like we need to help these people and we need to stop this and they're like why are you saying we need to stop it? There's nothing wrong with these people and it's like well it's okay to say that autism can be debilitating in a lot of ways and that for some people they will need lifelong help and that is a financial and physical burden on a large number of Americans. And when we have, what, 1 in 4 kids is autistic at this point, who's going to be caring for them when they're older?
right.
And some of them, like my son, he'll be fine. Like he's very high functioning. We've done a lot of therapies. I mean, even at 17, we're going back into OT right now because I try to meet him where he's at every couple of years to continue to give him the help that he needs. And I hope that he continues that into adulthood when I'm not always there to advocate for him.
Right. That's amazing. Good for you.
Um, and he wants to go into mechanics and I mean, like ag mechanics, and he's a great kid. He just needs, I always said that I expect the same, like he has the same expectations as his twin sister, but I acknowledge he needs more help getting there. And that's kind of how it's always been in the house. But yeah, it is a full picture thing. Maybe it was Tylenol, maybe it was genetic, maybe it was environmental. We don't have the 100% on that yet, but I acknowledge that he needs to be addressed from every angle.
And the fact that you welcome that help. We have someone in our family that is opposite mindset across the board, and they are very offended by those recent suggestions. And so I just think if it were my child and I know that these things can't hurt, why would I not
Right.
give them every opportunity? So
And yeah, we're not saying, I don't think anyone's saying like the person that has autism is bad. We're saying, why don't we want to help a condition that makes life harder for
missing
people?
that, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Although at the same time, like I always tease my son, he's a little bit of a hypochondriac, but he's always like like he went up to separate the cows last night. The dairy is his. I mean, so obviously you can see his functioning level. But he went up to separate the cows, and apparently he sprained both of his ankles at the same time, and blah 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 blah. And he's just going on and on and on about how his ankles hurt, and he can't believe how he did that. And finally, I was like, you know what would help that? You want to know what would help? He's like, what? I was like, take a couple Tylenols. He's like, Mom.
What was it? That's funny. Aw.
But we
I
have
love
that.
that you guys can tease each other like that. That's awesome.
Well, he saw this meme that said, autistic is a slur. I'm a Tylenol American. And so he's like, that's what I'm going to be for Halloween. I'm going to dress up like Tylenol and wear a flag around my neck.
Oh my gosh, please post a picture of that.
But
That is pretty hilarious. And the fact that he loves to joke about it, it shows that he understands that sarcasm. So he is definitely
Mhm.
not functioning.
He is very high functioning. And, but at 6 years old, he was nonverbal. Like, I didn't know where we would be with him.
Okay.
And, he's a bright kid, and sometimes he gets sarcasm, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes like he's right at that cusp where he understands sarcasm and then laughs and then explains it to you. And you're like, No, no, we didn't need that part."
Aw. Aw.
But yeah, he's a good kid like that. And we razz each other as a family. So that's what makes it, we don't, my daughter, she always says the only thing that runs thicker in our family than blood is ADHD. And so, we just kind of like, we all joke about the different things that we have so that we feel comfortable and don't feel offended.
Yeah, absolutely. ADHD runs thick here too. So
Whew, yeah. We have total 8 kids, and I think every single one of them is neurodivergent. And it's really, whew, it's exhausting. And so from that standpoint, even when I met my older boys, because stepmom, but I raised them because their mom had passed away, I was like, oh no, like ADHD, ODD, that's just behavioral stuff. Whew, no.
it's deep. It's
Yeah,
very
it really is. Now, I definitely think there was like, my husband was in Iraq, their mom worked all the time, they were raised by a teenage nanny. There was definitely behavioral layers there, but it was never going to level out until they got other supports.
wow.
And
What's
yeah.
interesting is like ADHD can just look so different in different people
Mhm.
that, I mean, any wife knows 100% of their husband's flaws, right? And so I'm I'm able to recognize it in him and how he definitely has ADHD undiagnosed, but
Mhm.
I see it. But I believe that I have it as well, but it's the complete opposite kind, or
Yeah.
how it presents itself in me is the opposite of how it presents itself in him. And
Yeah.
so I thank the Lord for putting us together so we can, even each other out. But it's just funny because he can sit down and like read an entire book and like recite it to you. Like he retained all of that information,
Wow.
and I will like be reading, and all of a sudden I'm at the bottom of the page and I'm like, oh, I didn't listen to myself read that page. Like I didn't retain it. I don't know how I got to the bottom, but somewhere I checked out while I was reading and now I'm at the bottom of the page. So and he's the type who will leave the milk on the counter or forget his keys or that. So that is more apparent to me, but it's just interesting how ADHD can look very different in different individuals. And yeah, it's, thank the Lord that your kids were blessed with you as a mom, well equipped to help them through it, because that's another thing that is very heavily managed with pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. It definitely is. And we've had our bouts where I said, "Hey, you're going through puberty and this is really hard for you right now. Do you want to be on meds for a year?" And let them make that choice.
Mhm.
And we've gone back and forth with that where, "Hey, let's get through this really hard time," or, let's, you know, take a low dose, do some therapies, let's see how you feel in a year. And then they've gone off of them. And, it's like we've taken both angles with it because I also acknowledge that when it's that severe, you are missing something in your brain.
Yeah,
It-
absolutely.
yeah.
There's Yeah, help is needed for sure. I'll always say that.
Right. And yeah, I definitely feel you on like I can do the thing where I read a page and don't remember any of it. But then on the flip side, I have 400 lists going at the
Oh,
same time,
lists.
and I know exactly what's on every list and when I need to get it done. Yeah.
I am a pencil and paper list. I will make lists. They're all over the house.
Yeah. I
Um,
even my business has to run on a electronic planner so that everybody has like their repeating tasks and that type of stuff. But every morning I get up and with my notepad write down everything that I need to do from my digital planner because I need it physically.
yeah, the
Whereas
tactile. Yeah.
my husband can't remember anything that needs to happen. Lists bother him. He feels like he's being told what to do.
Yes. My
And um like the other day we bought a new livestock scale, ran the very first pig across it and it blasted through the gate on the other side and it like shattered like toothpicks. Like
oh
the
my
scale worked
God.
fine, but the cage part for the pig like didn't work. So he's like, we're like, oh, we need to contact the company. And so I was like, hey, would you mind contacting the company? I bought it through our joint email for the business and can you handle all that? And he's like, yeah, not a problem. He goes into the bathroom, he comes back out, sits down, and puts in a return request for some wheel bearings he bought. And I'm like, did you do the scale? He's like, what scale?
This is sounding very familiar.
And I'm like, the scale we were just talking about. And he's like, what about it? And I'm
Yeah.
like, it broke? He's like, yeah, and we need to get a hold of the company. And I'm like, and you just said you'd do it. And he's like,
Mhm.
oh, I forgot. And I'm like,
Well,
but
at least he remembers enough to say he forgot. My husband all the time will say, we never had that conversation. And I'm like,
oh, I get that one too. But
I don't know how to work with that. Like, we definitely did have that
I,
conversation.
because my husband was blown up a few times in Iraq, so there's probably some TBI or stuff going on. He will
Ah.
definitely, at first, he used to be like, we never had this conversation. At this point, he goes, we probably did have that conversation and I don't remember it.
Oh,
So, but yeah, then I'm like, just write a
we
list.
got to give him some grace for
Like
sure. Yeah.
I'm not asking for like you don't need to have 10 million lists. Like when we discuss something, pull out your phone and jot it in your notes. Like that's it. You're already on your phone while we're talking. You might as well just like pop over to he's like, but then the planes will die in my game. And I'm like, really?
So we have the skylight calendar for work in our
I want one of
workshop,
those so bad.
where it like I can put tasks on it from my phone that go to his calendar. So whether he wants to see that list or not, it's there, and I do think it's helpful. Um, I'm trying to restrain myself from getting it in the house too, because I would love for my kids to like check off their chores and like, just things we have going on as a family, like separate from the business.
Mhm.
But I haven't done it yet because I'm like, I'm also like kind of anti-electronic as much as I can possibly be. So it would be really nice to have. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah, I want one really bad because I think that would help all of us because we're running like three businesses and the teenagers work for the businesses. And my assistant works in the house like 2 days a week. And so,
Uh,
yeah, I think it would just be like total game changer. But,
Hey, it's definitely a business expense if you do get one. So.
right. So, I had like one more question and then we kind of gotta like wrap it up. But,
Okay.
um, so I keep seeing all these influencers online, who I don't know. They're like some random like doctor or nurse or something, and they're like, people need to stop using tallow because the cellular structure is too large for our skin to even like absorb. And I mean, they're making these really great cases, and it frustrates me because I know it's not true. But can you debunk that?
I love it when people do debunk it like I hope that everyone who sees those what you're saying, these reels and stuff, also see the debunking ones that go along with
Hmm.
it, because every single time they're spot on. And the thing about tallow is there's this big argument of is it an occlusive or is it an emollient? And it's neither. It's fat. It's from an animal. This is not
Mhm.
a lab made ingredient. So it knows how to function on your skin different than anything else that you can compare it to. It's its own category.
Mhm.
And so when you look at the overwhelming reviews and testimonies of anyone who has used tallow, you will see your answers. You will see the testimonies of what it did for people, what it healed. And I'm not just talking about like people like me who it changed the structure of their skin to be more desirable. I'm talking about chronic skin conditions.
Mhm.
Then that's what you need to go off of. And I'm definitely one of those people that says like, hey, um, we trust science, but science is always changing. And so it's not settled. And
And there's been a lot of money put into science that,
there's a lot of money.
yeah,
And
that
we need to
isn't like,
listen
I
to,
trust the science, but I don't always trust every scientist.
oh, absolutely. And we need to listen to the user. We need to listen to the moms. We need to listen to
Mhm.
the people who are seeing the evidence of these changes. So I I love it when those reels come out and then like the debunking comes right after because it's just so funny to me how they're completely debunked. But
That's awesome. All right. So at the end of our time, what does keep growing mean to you?
keep growing. As a business, as a mom, like what perspective? Oof. Anything I want.
Yeah.
Um, maybe not taking no for an answer. So there's a lot of doors that might close for you for a reason. And so that doesn't mean to stop. It means to look for a different door. Um, you can let things limit yourself just by an interaction with the wrong person at the wrong time at the wrong place. Or you can keep going, keep praying, and keep trusting that God brought you to something and He has you in the right place in the right time for a reason. And if you trust that and if you believe that, then you can have the confidence to keep going, knowing that you'll be taken care of.
That's awesome. I really love that. I actually just wrote that down. If a door closes, look for another door.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to tell everyone like where they can find your products, where they can find you, all that good
Absolutely.
stuff?
Yep. So we can ship nationally. So if you look on our website, it's grassfedskin.com.
All right.
Instagram handle is grassfedskin.
All right. And I'll put this all in the show notes.
And I'm so sorry. Our whole business is grass-fed skin, and our Instagram and social media, Facebook, all of it is grass-fed skin, but our website is mygrassfedskin.com.
I
I
have that
cannot believe
too,
I
because
just said that.
my website has to be the Homestead Education.
Okay.
So it's so
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. It's the one place. So I definitely should have caught myself there, but mygrassfedskin.com. And that's where you can order from anywhere and we'll ship it to you. Um, and then definitely following us on social media just to get to know us, get to know our beliefs and what this business represent. I think it's really important that when you're supporting a business, you know what that individual represents and what their morals and what their integrity is, because it helps you to be able to use their products more confidently and know and trust in whatever their product is that they're selling.
and know who you're supporting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, make sure you go check them out. I'll have all the links in the show notes, and I have a discount code for you guys.
Yes.
So make sure you check that out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me today at the Homestead Education, and I hope that I have given you something to think about this week. To help others find me, please comment and leave a review on your favorite podcast player. You can also follow me on Facebook at the Homestead Education and Instagram at Homestead_education. Do you have questions that you would like answered or just want to say hi? Please email me at hello@thehomesteadeducation.com. Until next time, keep growing!